Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to share my review of Wastes of Chaos for 5e from Kobold Press. It's written by Richard Green, Tim Hitchcock, Sarah Madsen, Philip Larwood, Jeff Lee, Ben McFarlane, Carlos and Holly O'Valley, Kelly Pollock, and Brian Suskind. And I do apologize if I've mispronounced any of those names. This 209-page hardcover is available now. It carries an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang is an affiliate of the One Bookshelf sites, such as DriveThruRPG. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Wastes of Chaos. Couple of things I do want to mention before I dive on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Kobold Press were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it becomes more and more important that you know that. Also, not going to take a look at each and every page of this book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's inside Wastes of Chaos. So if you're considering picking this book up, you can make an informed buying decision. So let's jump on in. First thing to mention is that there were lots of artists who did some fantastic work here inside Wastes of Chaos. Let's give them some credit. Got them right here. Of course, graphic design and cartography also. And I am not going to try to pronounce these folks' names because I guarantee I will massacre at least half of them. But do want to make sure that we do give them credit. So let's jump on in. If you are familiar with the Gaming Gang, if you've seen some of my past coverage of Kobold Press releases, you already know I am a huge fan of the Midgard setting, which is the house setting for Kobold Press. It is a high fantasy sort of setting, but it's got a little bit of a darker edge to it that I really, really like. It is certainly not grimdark or anything like that. It's not a situation where you're going to be rolling up characters and walking around constantly saying, "We're doomed," or anything along those lines. But I do find the world setting to be very, very interesting and not just your typical cookie cutter high fantasy world. So with Wastes of Chaos, first thing I had noticed as I started to read through is, where's the Midgard information? I was like, wait a second. How come it's not telling me where these things are located in Midgard? And I gotta say, I was concerned for a few moments as I was reading through it because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Midgard. Well, it turns out we have an appendix in the back that's going to tell us where some of these locales would be in that Midgard setting. So one thing that I found very interesting about this is that we have various different areas based on terrain. So if you have your own game world, or even if you're using, say, Forgotten Realms, you can drop down these Wastes of Chaos into those various different terrains, because the Wastes of Chaos is not just a single region, it's various regions that are tainted. And I found that to be pretty interesting. So we get some new races. We get the automaton, we get the dust goblin, we get some new subclasses. And they all tend to have a bit of a, strange to say this, almost like a road warrior vibe to them. Because remember, these are wastelands that these people actually call home, or they traverse in the day-to-day lives of being merchants or caravan leaders or caravan guards and things like that. We do get a bit of mythos tossed in Now, granted, it is not specifically Lovecraftian in nature because the cult of the black goat is never referred to as Shub-Niggurath, but I did get a kick out of how that's in there. So there is a little bit of a Cthulhu mythos taint to the Wastelands as well. Of course, there is an accompanying adventure book, which I will be reviewing in the next few days for you. And all those adventures will take place in various regions of the Wastes of Chaos. So we get some new spells, we get some cool monsters. A good portion of this is broken up into a gazetteer for these different regions and important locations in these Wastes of Chaos regions. So we get some cool maps and adventure hooks. Something else I would mention is that the Wastes of Chaos also has a bit of a sword and sorcery pulp feel to it. So I would not find, say, a Conan the Barbarian adventure feel too out of place in the Wastes of Chaos. I should also point out that you've got plenty of opportunity for science fantasy adventures because we don't have one, we actually have two crashed alien spaceships. And two of the adventures in Tales of the Wastes revolve around those spacecraft. So we get some new monsters. And most of these are pretty solid. A couple I thought were a little... We had some new goblins, new goblin types, or I guess we'll say like subtypes, because the dust goblins play a very big role in the Wastes of Chaos. And if you're not overly familiar with Midgard, goblins are not all evil, just like kobolds aren't all evil. I mean, how could you have a company called Kobold Press and then sit there and be like, okay, all kobolds are evil? It's like, hey, welcome to Orc Press. Although we do have the Orc license. But just want to give you a look at some of these new monsters that we've got. I thought the Warped Treant was pretty cool. I thought this, in my opinion at least, is one of the highlights. And it's essentially a Chaos Warped Treant that would be very, very difficult to take down, especially with its regeneration. These warp rats are pretty bizarre. They're like rat, weasel, worm things. So I thought, first thing I thought of when I saw that is the Lovecraft story, Rats in the Walls. Even though the rats in the walls are rats, they aren't these warp rats. I have to say that I find that most Kobold Press releases, especially the adventures and the setting books, really, really have a lot of imagination poured into them. I find, to be honest, Kobold Press releasing some of the best third-party 5e content that's out there. As I mentioned, we get some new spells, we get some new magic items, and treasure. We have some items that are tied into chaos. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to have an appendix that's going to tie in the various Wastes of Chaos regions into Midgard. So this was the portion that I was surprised I didn't see when I started reading this book. And I thought, whoa, wait a second. And look who's traversing across the landscape. I don't know. That sort of looks like Cthulhu to me. All in all, really interesting stuff going on in Wastes of Chaos. All right, so that's a look inside the book. So let's swing on over to the other camera so I can share some final thoughts and my review score. Once again, if you follow the Gaming Gang, if you've watched any of my Kobold Press reviews, you know I really dig Midgard. And I found Wastes of Chaos to fit right on into that vibe that I really appreciate about the setting. I like how it's got a bit of a pulpy feel. There's a little bit of a swords and sorcery feel to it. And it's pretty interesting that it's not just one location, because that's what I thought it was going to be, the Wastes of Chaos. But it's not. It's a variety of different regions, all with a bit of a different sort of vibe to the adventures that'll take place there, but still fits into the overall scheme of Midgard very well. It's really nice that you can take these various different regions and use what you like, decide not to use what you may not like, and just drop it on into your own homebrew or Forgotten Realms or Midgard setting. So I do like that quite a lot also. Got new races, we've got some cool new backgrounds, and we have some subclasses, new spells, new magic items. This book is actually packed with a good amount of content. Artwork throughout, top notch, as we usually see from Kobold Press. And I do have to say, the physical production quality of the book is very solid as well. In fact, the paper stock feels a little bit thicker than what you would find in a Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons release. So that's good there too. All in all, I really like Wastes of Chaos quite a lot. And once again, I find there's a lot that's very interesting and pretty unique about what's being presented in Wastes of Chaos. On a scale of 0 to 10, I highly recommend Wastes of Chaos. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's that good. All right, that's it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Although I am on a very short hiatus, taking a week off, so I will not be back with the live show until October 17th. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And until I see you next time, here's hoping all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.